Chapter 22. Stanley was the first one finished. He spat in his hole, then showered and changed into his cleaner set of clothes. It had been 3 days since the laundry was done, so even his clean set was dirty and smelly. Tomorrow, these would become his work clothes, and his other set would be washed. He could think of no reason why Zero would dig his hole for him. Zero didn't get any sunflower seeds. Guess he likes to dig holes, Armpit said. He's a mole, Zigzag said. I think he eats dirt. Moles don't eat dirt, X-Ray had pointed out. Worms eat dirt. Hey, Zero, Squid had asked. Are you a mole or are you a worm? Zero said nothing. Stanley never even thanked him, but now he sat on his cot and waited for Zero to return. Stop. From the shower room. Thanks, he said, as Zero entered through the tent flap. Zero glanced at him, then went over to the crates where he deposited his dirty clothes and his towel. Why'd you help me? Stanley asked. Zero turned around. You didn't steal the sunflower seeds, he said. So, neither did you, said Stanley. Zero stared at him. His eyes seemed to expand, and it was almost as if Zero were looking right through them. You didn't steal the sneakers, he said. Stanley said nothing. He watched Zero walk out of the tent. If anybody had X-ray vision, it was Zero. Hey, wait, he called, and then he hurried out after him. Zero had stopped just outside the tent, and Stanley was almost running into him. I'll try to teach you to read if you want, Stanley offered. I don't know how to teach, but I'm not that worn out today, so since you dug a lot of my hole... A big smile spread across Zero's face, and when they returned to the tent, where they were all less likely to be bothered, Stanley got out his box of stationery and a pen out of his crate, and they sat on the ground. So, do you know the alphabet? Stanley asked. For a second, he thought he saw a flash of defiance in Zero's eyes, and then it passed. I think I know some of it, said Zero. A, B, C, G... Keep going, Stanley said. Zero's eyes looked upward. E, F, G. He blew out some air out the side of his mouth. H, I, K, P. H, I, J, K, L, Stanley said. That's right. I've heard it before. I just don't have it memorized exactly. Well, that's all right, said Stanley. Here, I'll say the whole thing just to kind of refresh your memory, and then you can try it. He recited the alphabet for Zero. Then Zero repeated it without a single mistake. Not bad for a kid who had never seen Sesame Street. Well, I heard it before somewhere, Zero said, trying to act like it was nothing, but his big smile gave him away. The next step was harder, though. Stanley had to figure out how to teach him to recognize each letter. He gave Zero a piece of paper, and he took a piece for himself. So I guess we'll start with A. He printed a capital A, and then Zero copied it on a sheet of paper. The A wasn't lined, which made it more difficult, but Zero's A wasn't bad, just a little big. Stanley told him he needed to write smaller or else they'd run out of paper real quick, so Zero printed it smaller. Actually, there are 2 ways to write each letter, Stanley said, and he realized that this is going to be even harder than he thought. That's the capital A, but usually you see it as a small a. You only have capitals at the beginning of a word, and only if it's at the start of a sentence, or if it's a proper noun, like a name. Zero nodded as if he understood, but Stanley knew he had made very little sense. He printed a lowercase a, and Zero copied it. So there are 52, said Zero. Stanley didn't know what he was talking about. Instead of 26 letters, there are really 52. Stanley looked at him surprised. Yeah, I guess that's right. How'd you figure that out? Zero said nothing. Did you add? Zero said nothing. Did you multiply? That's just how many there are, said Zero. Stanley raised and lowered one shoulder. He didn't even know how Zero knew there were 26 in the first place. Did he count them as he recited them? He had Zero write a few more upper and lowercase a's, and then he moved on to the capital B. This was going to take a long time, he realized. You can teach me 10 letters a day, suggested Zero. 5 capitals and 5 smalls. And after 5 days, I'll know them all, except on the last day, I'll have to do 12. 6 capitals and 6 smalls. Again, Stanley stared at him, amazed that he was able to figure all that out. Zero must have thought he was staring at him for a different reason, because he said, "I'll dig part of your hole for every day, and I can dig it for about an hour, and then you can teach me for about an hour. And since I'm a fast digger anyway, our holes will get done about the same time, and I won't have to wait for you." "Okay," Stanley agreed. As Zero was printing his B's, Stanley asked him how he figured out it would take 5 days. "So did you multiply? Did you divide?" "That's just what it is," said Zero. "That's good math," said Stanley. "I'm not stupid," said Zero. "I know everybody thinks I am. I just don't like answering their questions." Later that night, he lay on his cot. Stanley reconsidered the deal he made with Zero. Getting a break every day would be a relief, and he knew X-Ray wouldn't like it. He wondered if there might be some way for Zero to agree to dig part of X-Ray's hole as well, but then again, why should he? "I'm the one teaching Zero. I need the break, so I'll have the energy to teach him. I'm the one who took the blame for the sunflower seeds. I'm the one who Mr. Sir is mad at." He closed his eyes, and the images of the warden's cabin floated inside his head. Her red fingernails, Mr. Sir writhing on the floor, her flowered makeup kit. He opened his eyes, and suddenly he realized where he'd seen that gold tube before. He'd seen it in his mother's bathroom. He'd seen it again in the warden's cabin. It was a half of a lipstick container. KB. That's what he saw. KB. Etched onto it. KB? He felt a jolt of astonishment. His mouth silently formed the name Kate Barlow, as he wondered if it really could have belonged to the Kissin' outlaw, Kissin' Kate Barlow.